Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode of Bitcoin Trade, I'll go over some news articles and some chart analysis. So let's start off with some news. So hold on here, let me check out the news. Alright, let's just start off with this. Something I read and just want to make a quick note about. I've never met this gentleman. I've seen this gentleman speak a lot through online anyway. Um, but I just want to make a quick note here. If you read this article, this person is just like anybody else. And a matter of fact, what caught my attention was if you scroll down to the lower part here, and by the way, he has one of those Zimbabwe dollars. Um, Actually, I have one as well. Someone gave that to me as a token of a gift. So, but somewhere around here, towards the end, he talks about how he was asked if does he use Bitcoin, and his answer was, well, whenever he can, he does. But the fact is, the infrastructure for um, Bitcoin is not quite there yet to the point where okay, there it is in the last part. I use Bitcoin whenever I can, um, but right now, he still has bills and they don't accept Bitcoin. And to some extent, if you're wondering, do I use Bitcoin wherever I can? Um, yes and no. The way I use Bitcoin is through my trading and investing through Bitcoin, the use of Bitcoin. Um, how does that translate? Well, if you got to remember, whether it's legal tender, a credit card, um, or a check, or any of these things, they are all stored value devices. They are just things that we can exchange for that hold value or have some value to the buyer or the seller or whatever. And so the reason I bring this up is I want to talk about, where does value come from? Does it come from the bank? Does it come from the government? Does it come from your employer? You know, even legal tender is a stored value device, because if you really look at it, it's just a piece of paper that has a number on it. Other than the fact that it's backed and by law has to be accepted as payment of debt, really it's worthless. And if you've seen my previous episode, I've mentioned many times that Bitcoins don't exist. So when you buy a Bitcoin, you're buying nothing. So where does value come from? And my answer to that is, um, and I've said this in many different ways. For example, I said the power to change the world is within you. Um, what did I mean by that? Well, the same reason why the value of money is whatever the value is, because you believe in it. So, you have to ask yourself, where does value come from? And my short answer, my quick answer, I should say, the value of everything in your life. Everything, whether it's an object, a computer, your car, another person, money. That includes also legal tender. So any stored value device. The value of everything comes from within you. And to some degree, you can say that you are the creator of money. And so when I say I co-create with the creator, that's very true. So anyways, I want to bring that up because it's a really good article to mention, but what really caught my eye was this last part. And yeah, I don't pay my mortgage with Bitcoin. I don't pay my car loan with my Bitcoin. I don't, but I use it wherever I can. But if you really want to know, everything that I do comes from Bitcoin now. I don't work for anybody, so it doesn't come from an employer. The money that comes from the bank comes from my Bitcoin investment. Um, so, so in essence, how do I pay everything in Bitcoin? In some ways, I do, because everything that I have um, comes from the creator. And since the creator created Bitcoin, everything I have and everything I pay for comes from Bitcoin. Even though it's not Bitcoin itself, but it's been transferred, the value of it has been transferred to another stored value device, whether it be check, credit card, even legal tender. So I transferred the value of Bitcoin to legal tender. And so, you know, if you ask yourself, do I pay everything with Bitcoin? My answer would be yes. Because everything I have, I received from the creator, and the creator created Bitcoin. Does that make any sense? Anyways, I want to talk about that a little bit, and then let's talk about this. Wow, the headlines. This is from CoinDesk. The headlines. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I'm sure some people have noticed this. I didn't even realize this until like a day after. I've been pretty busy with other things, so um, and I don't even deal in any of these markets, so I wouldn't know anything about them. But anyways, there is a headline: Day of Reckoning for Dark Markets as Hundreds of Domains Seized. So there you go. And it's kind of interesting. I'm sure it's always I guess it's always been a cat and mouse. Who's the cat and who's the mouse? And it always flips over back and forth. Um, as I was reading all these different articles, and Crypto Coin News has some great articles as well. There's some other links to Wired. Wired has a great article, a little bit more in detail. So does Cointelegraph. And what's interesting to me is how are they able to find these servers? Um, and of course, as you know, they're using the Tor network, and supposedly it's supposed to be hidden, but apparently not hidden anymore. And they don't want to reveal how they know. They just want to keep going about it. Well, I have a theory on how they may have found out, and it may surprise you. It has nothing to do with you know the internet or the Tor network or how they're able to do all these things. Um, all of that stuff is in virtual reality, and virtual reality does a great job of hiding you and keeping you anonymous. And I don't think they did anything in virtual reality because it's very difficult. Um, I think most of their work was done in the physical world because those servers are still in the physical world, and the people who use them are in the physical world. The transportation of these drugs or illicit goods and services are all in the physical world. So, so what these law enforcement are really good at are what they've been good at, enforcing the laws in the physical world. So I would suspect that they didn't really find the servers. They just found the people using the servers, and in that way they were able to find the servers. If that makes sense. So it's not a secret, but I think it's something that's overlooked by a lot of these people who set up these dark markets. That you're still in the physical world. Uh, Physical evidence. There's always when a crime is committed, and I've said this before in my beginning episodes. I don't know why people don't watch my episodes and learn from this stuff, but in the physical world, in the real world, whenever you commit a crime, you always leave physical evidence. You always leave PE, all right? Physical evidence. And that physical evidence leaves a trail, and that trail always leads back to you, all right? And if you, I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. Anyways, if you're wondering how they found you, well, that's how they found you. So, um, you're back to square one. How do you cover your tracks in the physical world? Um, in virtual reality, I mean, you could be anyone, you could be anybody, you could be anywhere. You can be like at a billion different places at the same time. It's kind of easy to cover your tracks. But in the physical world, that's much harder. Becoming a ghost in the physical world is nearly impossible. Nearly. I mentioned you can become a ghost, but that'd be with the assistance of government agencies to cover your tracks for you. So if you're wondering why drug sales and illicit goods and services have happened even before the creation of the internet or these dark markets, well, because they were allowed to happen, right? Um, the dark secret on some of this is sometimes, you know, people need to raise money, and sometimes government entities need to raise money. They need to do it in a secret way or in secrecy. What better way than to go to the illicit market to do that? All they have to do is just give a little assistance. So for me to see this, it's a joke. It really is. But I guess, if you want to plant a flag somewhere and say you did something, all right, you did something. That's just my opinion on it. Of course, if you look at the history of illicit goods and services and government agencies, they tend to go hand in hand somewhere along the lines. Whether it's arms dealing, drug dealing, espionage, I mean, you name it. There is something hand in hand that goes on. You just may not know about it. That's just my personal feelings on it. But if you just look in the history books, and I'm talking about not like 1800s or 1600s, although you can probably look back then and you'll see some correlation. But I'm talking about recent as well, very recent. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Well, if you're if you live long enough, if you're not dumb enough, I met some of the younger generation may not know because they just weren't around at the time. But when I was growing up, I lived through some of these experiences. Not lived through them, but as I was growing up, these things came into light, to public light. And so, anyways, I guess it's big news. For me, it doesn't make a bit of difference. It hasn't affected me in any which way because I'm not involved in those markets. So there you go. So that's a headline, and here's another headline that I want to go over, and this is not surprising at all. All I have to say is, and this is from Crypto Coins News, another, these guys are always doing a great job. Russian rubles depreciation could trigger Bitcoin run. You know what I have to say for this? It's kind of really simple. If you forsake Bitcoin, you're forsaking the creator. And, is this coincidence? Is this coinkydink? Is this, this sounds so familiar. Again, I remember this. I remember this very well as I was growing up. It's the same scenario. Oil prices going down, rubles going down. Um, gosh, um, the country is literally collapsing. It actually did collapse. This is like, when will the Russians ever learn? They need to read. They should stop rewriting history and start writing history the way it really happened, and educate their people and the politicians and their leaders instead of trying to make shit up. That's why you keep making the same fucking mistake. Anyways, um, hey, it's not me. All right, I'm not doing anything. All right, I have no control over this stuff. All right, you had absolute free will, and I'm not talking about Russian people. I'm talking about, you know, the people who are in control of the Russian Federation, your government, whatever. You know, uh, you have absolute free will to do whatever you want to do, and you know, this is what happens. So hopefully you'll learn at some point in time. Stop rewriting the history books. You know, just somebody there knows what's going on. Somebody there knows what I'm talking about. So if you were really there and you really knew what happened, you know what to do to prevent what's going to happen. So that's what I have to say about this. It's not really a surprise to me that this is happening. Um, this is what happens when uh, you bite the hand that feeds you. Um, Gee, I wonder what would happen if you did that. You probably wouldn't be fed a lot, right? Anyways, there you go. They're also talking about not only that are they already trying to ban the Bitcoin, they're trying to also ban U.S. dollars now, and I don't know what to say. I mean, oil prices are going down, and you're probably shocked, like, oh, can this happen? Well, again, I didn't have anything to do with it. Don't blame me. All right, I do believe someone had something to do with it. It wasn't me. Um, but anyways, excuse me, I'm moving around here a little bit. Anyways, that's the headline here, and yeah, I recommend people of Russia. Remember, you don't owe any allegiance to this government just because you're born there. If you can get out of that country with any wealth that you have left over, highly recommend you do. Also, if you have any talent, skill, you're more than welcome in other countries to bring your talents and skills or any information or top secret information. I know I mentioned this in my previous video, but I would recommend you leave a dying country. And, well, it's not a dying country, it's a dying government. Um, I recommend you leave your dying government and leave those hardliners to die hard with their die hard government, and let them die with it. They live by the sword, they die by the sword. Um, you know, just don't let them take you down with it. That's what I have to say. You got your whole life in front of you. Why short your own life for something I know some people don't believe in any of this crap. So, anyways, there's that headline, and then oh, here's another one. A lot of stuff. They're all a little different, but all together, I mean, really good stuff. Cointelegraph came up with this little article: "Dear online drug buyers, your problems are solved." So, talking mainly about the difference between a centralized infrastructure and then a decentralized infrastructure. So another article to read, and it's quite possible because of the crackdown on online dark markets, you're going to see creation of more of this type of uh, dark market, a decentralized dark market versus a centralized market. Um, it's gonna, it's kind of weird, but I guess there is some kind of code or maybe an honor among thieves, but it's gonna be kind of hard in my opinion because to have this kind of market requires trust among yourselves. And when you have a bunch of people who are fraudulent in nature, um, it's gonna, you know, to do this requires a different mindset than what's out there right now. It requires that you not be fraudulent, or if you are fraudulent, you won't get any deals. You'll just have to look for a new victim every time. Even the criminals victimize other criminals, which is kind of sick in thought. But there's people out there that do that, and when all I have to say is for those fraudsters, scammers, one day you're gonna victimize the wrong person or the wrong group, and they're not interested in reading your Miranda rights or charging you. They're interested in payback, and payback's a bitch. So I look forward to this kind of market actually, because hopefully that will kill off all the scammers and perpetrators and thieves, because this is a different kind of world. This is a world, especially we're a dark market world, where you know it literally is about trust, and if you break that trust, you forfeit your life. So I actually look forward to it, because then maybe they'll get rid of a lot of the scammers out there, um, and let the market prevail in justice, since it seems to me that law enforcement won't enforce the laws. They're only looking for headlines. Uh, so justice can come. It just sometimes comes in a way that you don't expect it. Kind of weird, huh? Yeah, I know, I know. Anyways, these are some of the headlines that I want to talk about, and well, there's a lot of things that are happening. And sorry, I haven't done a video recently. I've just been really busy. But we'll go back to a chart analysis right here. All right. And then, okay, so here we are. This is Bitfin on a 12-hour. Okay, there's the price right there. And this is a weighted average, the 10 period and the 25 period. I'm assuming, I'm not sure if this is the 10 or 20 period, but I'm sorry, 10, 20 or 25 period average, but I'm assuming it's a 25. It's very, very common for a 10 and 25 period. So um, you see, now this is very important, because when I was watching this at the time, when it was up and then it moved on to this red candlestick, it moved over and it was up a little bit, and it looked like it crossed over. Whatever you do, don't make the mistake trading on the current time frame, because uh, it changes while it's still in that time frame. You have to literally wait a few candlesticks to get a confirmed crossover. So I'm sure some of you made that mistake, and when you saw the next candlestick, you saw it and you're like, oh, it crossed over. That's a good sign. I gotta buy. And lo and behold, the candlestick is now moved down and has changed the averages. So you have to literally wait, and in some sense, it's a lagging indicator. But you can still use it as a forward indicator by taking a chance in where you put your limits in your buy and your market orders. If you want to take that chance and you bought in, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for a confirmation, if you're looking for a confirmation a solid signal, wait for it, at least 3 candlesticks, um, before you see this actually cross over to get an actual confirmation, verified confirmation. So this is what you're seeing here. You're seeing what I pretty much mentioned before. The gap is getting wider. Now it's moved up. It's moved across the 10 period, broke through. Now it's kind of bouncing on both the 25 and the 10 period, which is, I think, is really good signal. And as you notice that it has broken above it and higher than the last highs, or almost the last highs. I would say this being the last high, so it's definitely broke above that, and then this being the other high. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then so that's 1 confirmation, 2 confirmation, and then the fact that it's above the 25 period, actually finished above it. It went back down though, but it finished above it. If it gets, it needs to go back up, which it kind of struggling a little bit, but you're almost getting a third confirmation here. To get a better idea of what's going to happen, you have to pull back a little bit more. I mentioned this before, pulling back. The 12 period for me is kind of figure out what's going on. And let's go on to the daily. And you see here in the daily, what it's done is that it's been following this trail, broke above it, it's finished higher than this previous high right around here, and you see it's hit this 25 period average. Now it's bouncing in between here. So now it just has to stay above this 10 period average, and if it can push above here, then you get a really good solid confirmation. If it can go up to 400 or above or higher than this high, now you're seeing the wave, the third wave. And keep in mind, the first wave is a small one, and then the third wave, the first, the second, and usually the second retraces back to almost 2/3 of the way, which it pretty much did, very close. If this is the third wave here, and this is an Elliott wave theorist, all right, research some of that stuff. There is some truth to it, but the problem is, which wave are we in? Are we in the first or the second, the third? And there's waves within waves. It gets really confusing. But if this is the third wave here, the third wave is usually the longest wave. So this could be a great chance for people who are a wave theorist. I've already bought in at 320, and so having go up higher, I would anticipate anything above 400, 450, maybe even up to 500 if this is the third wave to go up that high. So there is some technical analysis to it. Also, I believe there was a mining rig, a mining farm that caught on fire. So that could be the reason for the price increase recent. Another thing I was thinking, and I was talking to a miner recently, they don't know why the price is going up. I was thinking because of all the seizures, all those people who are using those dark markets, now they have to buy more Bitcoin to continue their operation, I guess, their purchases. That could be another reason. I'm not a fool. I know that Bitcoins can be used for illicit activity, but at the same time, so can money. So can your U.S. dollar. The question is, do I know for a fact? I don't know. I'll never know. And, when I give money to someone, I don't know if they're going to use that money to buy drugs. You don't know. You don't know anything after the fact. And it's not your business too. After I give money to someone, I don't follow them around and see what they do with the money. I really don't care. It's none of my business. But it's silly not to think that Bitcoins. Remember, Bitcoins are nothing but a reflection of legal tender. So whatever is being done with legal tender is also done with Bitcoins. So there's nothing for me to say this. It's not shocking or surprising. I mean, if they really want to crack down on this stuff, they should crack down on the dollar, if anything, which they do. They make it so restrictive that people who use it for legitimate reasons and purposes can't seem to make any money these days. That's why a lot of us have gone to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies not to do any illicit behavior, but but just to be more free with the value of what we create. And this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of the episode. Where does value come from? Well, I'm going to tell you, the value comes from within you. You're the reason why you right there. You're the reason why money exists. You're the reason why bitcoins exist. You're the reason why you're the reason why, or you're, how can I say this? Because of you, value is created. The power to change the world is within you, literally. It really is. Anyway, sorry for this. Let me see if I can get it to focus here. Okay, it's not focusing. Anyways, so there we go. So anyways, the third wave may be up higher, which is good. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. Oh yeah, there was also a mining farm that burned on fire, so that will put less bitcoins in circulation. And then also the other thing is that it lowered the difficulty, which will allow a lot of the other miners to now maybe, you know, make bitcoins or create bitcoins. So it kind of all equals out, evens out. But I think that might be a few of the reasons why you've seen an increase. But also there is some technical analysis to this. So you know, when I meet with miners, they always say that it's manipulated and everything. But well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to prove. Hard to prove that all these exchanges and everyone's are colluding together like that. But from what I've seen, it is a little bit of technical analysis, a little bit of things that have happened, current events, the seizures of the dark markets, the mining farm catching on fire, and then of course technical analysis. Sellers have exhausted themselves, so a lot of factors, but none that I could singly point out. And that's the thing about markets, free markets, is that, you know, there's a lot of things at play we may not understand, but if you know the ebb and flow of these markets, you should be able to make a really good trade. Well, this concludes my episode. Hopefully this has helped you out. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, or even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.